大家好，我叫學怡。
Hi everyone, my name is Evangeline.
我係 Crystal 阿俊嘅組員。
I am a cell member of Crystal and Joash.
同埋 Charlie 美蓮嘅女。
And Charlie and Millian's daughter.
所以頭先攬住 Lamil 一齊講神是真的嘅就係我爸爸啦。
The man who hugged Lamil and said, God is real, that is my dad.
而且他明天要做見證。
And tomorrow she's going to share her testimony.
今次去古晉咧，我主要喺義牧去做義工服侍嘅。
So I was a volunteer for the children's ministry.
我好感恩咧，師母喺特會嘅時候咧，佢就有講我勸大家千祈唔好讚你哋嘅仔女做乖孩子。
I'm so thankful that during the conference, Sima was telling everyone that don't praise your child and tell her that you are such a good child.
我覺得呢句説話俾我好大釋放。
I felt that this statement that she made really freed me.
即係作為基二代啦、牧二代咧，我好多時喺好多道理嘅底下，我將自己嘅感覺去壓抑。
Because I'm a second generation Christian and my parents they serve in church, and so a lot of times I have to be good and I have to suppress my own feelings.
但係我好感恩師母牧師咧去釋放我哋。
But I'm so thankful that Pastor Joshua and Simo was able to free us.
好想咧見到我哋最真實嘅 being。
So they wanted to see our real being.
同埋用神嘅眼光去睇我哋、接納我哋。
And also to see us through the eyes of God and embrace us.
所以我哋可以將呢一份 pass 俾兒童教會嘅下一代。
So that we were able to pass all this to the children.
咁本身咧，我哋預計有40個小朋友嘅。
We were expecting 40 children to join.
咁但係最尾咧，又有成100幾個小朋友嚟咗。
But in the end, there were more than 100 children.
咁我哋都好措手不及嘅，因為預備唔夠。
Because we didn't prepare enough.
但係咧，我好感恩咧，我哋嘅團隊都真係好愛小孩。
But I'm so thankful that because our whole team, we really love children.
咁大家可想而知，即係咁多小朋友，場面係可以好混亂嘅。
So there were so many children, so you can imagine how chaotic it was.
但係我好記得我哋完咗第一日嘅去 debrief 嘅時候。
So after the first day, and then we had a debriefing.
咁婉婷就話婉婷佢就話其實已經好好㗎啦。
Yun Ting was telling me, actually, it's really good.
其實大家由咁多唔同嘅背景嚟。
So everyone came from a different background.
佢哋有唔同嘅文化、唔同嘅習慣、唔同嘅需要。
Different cultures and different needs.
其實我覺得好好㗎啦。
And so I think it's really good already.
咁我好感恩就係我哋唔單止用口去講10誡。
So I was thankful that we don't not only preach about the 10 Commandments.
我哋而係用行動去同小朋友講。
And we also through our doing that we could show them.
無論佢哋呢一刻專心唔到。
Even if they were not concentrating at this moment.
無論佢哋想走嚟走去，甚至想離開間房。
And they were wandering around, they left the place.
我哋都一樣咁愛佢，咁接納佢哋。
We love them no less.
我哋去明白佢嘅需要。
We try to understand their needs.
咁我喺第2日嘅時候就被安排去講見證嘅。
So the second day I shared my testimony.
咁我就係講第5誡。
So I shared about the 5th commandment.
講點樣喺先神後人在大地嘅前提下去尊榮父母。
So on the premise of first God, then people, then the earth, how to honor your parents with that.
咁但係喺講之前嗰日咧，我就同爸爸媽媽有啲摩擦。
But the night before, I actually had a little conflict with my parents.
咁突然間好多好細個嘅負面感覺啊、無力感都湧出嚟。
So a lot of negative feelings and also a sense of helplessness came rushing into me.
但我好感恩咧，我同爸爸媽媽有機會去傾翻。
But I'm so thankful that I was able to talk with my parents about it.
而且爸爸媽媽都好接納我嘅感覺。
And my parents were able to embrace me and accept how I was feeling.
咁我都即刻攬住我媽咪同佢講。
So I quickly hugged my mother and told her.
我都好愛佢，好重視佢。
That I love you and you're so important to me.
我學習去尊榮佢。
And I learned to honor her.
咁所以到講見證嘅時候
，So when I was sharing my testimony，
我都可以用最真實嘅自己
，I could use the most authentic self，
去幫助孩子唔壓抑
to help the other children not to suppress themselves.
亦都喺歪嘅裏面，我點樣學習去歸正，
And then from my twistedness, I could realign
去用最真實嘅自己去尊榮我嘅爸爸媽媽，
and to use my most authentic self to honor my parents
去深深嘅去感恩，
and also to give
好
thanks.
感恩天父嘅 timing 係最 perfect 嘅。
And I thank God for God's perfect timing.
我是 Justine， 是教会的同工。
Hi, I'm Justine. I'm a co-worker in church.
我们这次是很 raw 的，
And this is a very raw conference.
不只是聚会 raw、敬拜 raw， 我们连儿童聚会都很 raw 的。
So not just a conference, but also the children's ministry was really raw.
其实儿童聚会，他们是走的前一个礼拜才知道要讲新版10届儿童版的。
So only 1 week before they depart from Hong Kong, they realized that they have to preach on the Heartified Commandments for a children's version.
而且不止这样，还增加这么多的人数。
And then also because, as you know, they increase in so many number of children participants.
所以一直要创意的处理。
So we have to creatively deal with all the situations.
那我很高兴这一次，我可以参加过很多不同的服事，其实儿童崇拜也是其中我可以参加的一个项目。
So I'm so thankful that I could take part in many different posts, and children's ministry was one of them.
那这一次呢，真的很 raw 到一种地步，其实教会只有2个同工去做这个儿童的服事，就是婉婷跟 Noel。
So only Wan Ting and Noel, they were assigned from they were from children's church, and they were assigned for this.
然后有100多小孩哦。
But there were over 100 children,
当然我们有一些义工，
and we're thankful for that we had volunteers.
可是我真打心底佩服这2个女人，
And I'm so impressed, and so I do admire these 2 women.
因为不管小朋友怎么多么吵闹啊，或是不听话呀，
No matter how noisy the children were,
他们永远微笑的说
they were always smiling and saying,
你们会不会觉得这小孩子好可爱哦？
"Don't you think all these children are so
可
lovely?"
是我心里想着这些小孩子好可恶哦，
No, but I think these children are not lovely at all.
所以我觉得这绝对是他们的病。
And so I really believe that this is their being.
其实我们这次来的很多的孩子是牧者的孩子，
And this time, many of the children were pastor kids.
对他们来说10诫就是规条。
And so the 10 commandments was just regulations for them.
可是这一次不管的信息、戏剧或是年轻人的分享，
No matter the content, the word, or even the drama.
孩子们听到神深深对他们的爱。
And then the children were able to hear the love of God for them.
那当然，这些爱是怎么来的呢？
And where does this love come from?
其实，因为我们前一个礼拜才知道要做新版10届儿童版嘛，
Because we only knew that we had to do this 1 week earlier.
所以香港全部的儿童教会同工都出动帮忙写课程啊，准备物资啊，连在飞机上都有年轻人的义工来画绘本哦。
So all the children church co-workers, we all started to help. And then even we have marketplace volunteers who were doing illustrations and picture book on the plane.
而且我们这次服事义工不是普通义工，是高等次的义工。
And all these volunteers, they're just not normal, ordinary volunteers. They were really high-level volunteers.
休息的时候画绘本，
They were doing illustrations and drawings during their break time.
主要崇拜开始的时候去唱敬拜队。
When the conference started with the worship, they were worshiping.
敬拜队马上结束后就跑去儿童教会帮忙，
So once the worship ended, they ran towards the children's church.
所以每个环节都看到义工不管同工都对孩子们付上爱。
So we saw that all the co-workers and also the volunteers, how much love they had for the children.
而且真心看到帮助孩子能够真实领受到神真的是那唯一创造他们爱他们的天父爸爸。
So that the children were able to accept and receive this message that the God is the only God who loves them and created them.
我看到非常感动，
And so I'm really moved.
就像我听到 Evangeline 的见证，我都很感动。
Just like when I heard Evangeline's testimony, I was so moved.
因为其实很多的部分我跟她很类似，
Because I'm very much like her.
我也是乖孩子。
I'm a good child.
我从小在基督教家庭长大，
I grew up in a Christian family.
10诫我一直以为，一直到去年我都以为它是规条，它是我需要遵守的道理。
For all these years until last year, I've always thought that the 10 commandments were just rules and regulations that I had to follow.
我对自己有很多的要求，
So I have a lot of expectations for myself.
我对别人是以对错来衡量它的价值。
So I measure the value of other people by right and wrong.
所以你看到影片上面 那个很激动讲到女人归正的男人，那是我老公。
So you saw that in the video how emotional my husband was. That was my husband. That is my husband. Sorry.
因为我需要归正，
Because I need to be realigned.
师母帮助我归正，
And Simo helped me
她想到
realign.
一个绝招，
She thought of a brilliant idea.
她把我放到青橄榄书店。
She put me in Olive Tree.
我
the
一开始
bookstore.
感觉到无比的羞辱，
At first, I felt so
我非
humiliated,
常抗拒。
and I rejected it.
可是没想到那是我一个转换的开始。
But I didn't know that was a start of my breakthrough.
在青橄榄的团队里面，我一直要处理人际关系。
So in this group with the Olive Tree co-workers, I always had to deal with interpersonal relationships.
面对很多我自己里面的规条跟对别人的批判，
And also within me, there were a lot of rules and regulations and also criticism towards other people.
连爱我的权柄娟娟姨，我都跟她有很多摩擦。
Even like Pastor Grace, who loves me so much, I had so much conflict with her.
她非常有弹性，每天变来变去，
She is so flexible, she's always changing.
让我觉得好艰难啊！
But I felt that it was so hard
因为一直在摩擦我里面的规条。
because all this is actually conflicting with what I was fixing.
也让我看到我除不了我自己的律法伞。
And I also realized that I couldn't come out of the illegality hill inside of me.
可是在这个过程里面，我看到牧师师母还有娟娟姨跟圣爸妙妈对我的爱。
But then I saw how much Pastor Joshua and Simo and also Pastor Anna and Jason and also Pastor Grace, how much they love me.
我开始转变。
So I start to change.
这一次，我跟老公竟然要主持座谈会，
I actually had to hold this talk show with my husband
我们很 raw 嘛，
because we are so raw.
所以呢，我们要服侍呢，都是上台的大概前1个小时，这个是很幸福的，前1个小时会被通知。
So 1 hour before we have to go on stage, we will be informed.
所以中午很多人吃饭的时候都不要看手机的。
So I was one of them.
Yeah, you are.
So during lunch, we didn't want to look at our phones.
因为你会发现，你突然等一下半个小时后要服侍，
Exactly, because then suddenly the people inform you, hey, you're going on stage in half an hour.
很惊吓哈。
Yes, and then you'll be like, woohoo, surprise.
对，所以呢，我们就被这样通知，然后就在一个从来没有主持的情况下，要去做主持一个这么多人的聚会
We。have never hosted anything ever before, and then because of this, and then now we are hosting.
可是也是因为这样，我需要抓住神。
And because of that, I have to cling on to God.
我在敬拜里面，神就真的给我 download。
So as I was worshiping God, He downloaded information to me.
神让我看到，我们上一次离开马来西亚是破碎的，
So God helped me see that the last time I left Malaysia, I was broken.
可是我们这次回来，我们真的可以荣耀神。
But this time when we come back, we could glorify God.
神就教我怎么样安排座位啊，然后怎么样把话题串起来，真的是我觉得圣灵在给我 download。
So God taught me how to arrange the seating and also how to put the topics together. So I believe that God downloaded everything to me.
而且我很感恩，因为人家很会跟我们讲说，哇，你主持的好好哦。
People were telling me, hey, you're such a good host.
可是真的不是我，
But it really wasn't
没
me.
有这个生命树群体，我们没有办法做到的。
Without this Tree of Life community, it was not possible at
因
all.
为我在青橄榄
And because I was in Olive Tree,
上台的每一对夫妻，我都认识。
and all the couples that were on stage, I knew them.
Sarah 都在台上，做我最好的朋友。
And then I was on stage as well, and I'm her good friend.
所以而且我从每一个人的见证里面，我都看到我自己。
And so from every single one's sharing, I could see myself in
从
them.
中之牧师的见证，我看到我以前也以为我应该当一个殉道的宣教师，
And also from Pastor Zhong's sharing, I also thought that to work for Christ is to die for Christ.
所以我真的很感谢神让我有机会参与。
So I'm so thankful that God chose me to be part of it.
我紧张的时候，我就看到牧师师母他们对我微笑，
And then whenever I was nervous, I saw Pastor Joshua and Simo smiling
我
at
就有
me.
底气。
And then I was filled with
我
confidence.
尝试到 being 是 effortless，
I realized that being is effortless.
团队的服侍可以给我力量。
And then serving in a team could give me strength.
感谢主。
Thank you, Jesus.